If you watch my last video on the one problem holding your business back right now, then that's great, okay? But now I want to start by asking you something honestly. Have you actually identified the one problem holding your business back? And more importantly, have you started working on it yet? Because if you have, then that's great. Well done to you, okay? And if you haven't watched the previous video yet, then I would strongly recommend that you do so, because this video is not about starting again. It's about what happens next. And here's the pattern I see all the time, okay? And it usually goes something like this. A business owner finally gets clarity when they have that aha moment and they realize what the real issue is. Next, they feel a sense of relief. And then a week or so later, they're right back where they started. And it's usually not because they chose the wrong problem, but because they couldn't sit long enough, in that discomfort mode of fixing it. It all became too hard, so they park it. And this is exactly what today's video is about. Because once you've identified the real problem in your business, the hard part, it isn't knowing what to fix. It's actually sticking with it long enough for it to work. In this video, I'm going to explain why so many business owners fall into the trap of trying to fix everything at once, why that keeps you stuck, and what's actually happening, when you keep changing direction all the time. It's a nightmare. I'm also going to show you how to stay focused on the right thing without burning out. Very important. Getting overwhelmed or feeling like you're falling behind, because this isn't about doing more. It's about staying in that uncomfortable middle where real momentum is built. So if you've ever started, strong, you've then lost focus and it ended up back where you started, then this will help you understand why and how to stop repeating that cycle. And make sure that you stick with me to the end, because this shift alone can truly change how your business moves forward. My name is G-Cornell. I'm a business coach and mentor to startups, SMEs, and corporate organizations. I've been in business for 30 years, helping brands sell more of their products and services. And this channel is dedicated to helping people create their own destinies. So whether you're a young adult, trying to find your path, or an entrepreneur looking to grow your business, I'm going to show you how to cope and succeed in your journey whilst enjoying it along the way. So let's get into it. This is the part no one really talks about. Once you identify the real problem in your business, things don't suddenly feel easier. In fact, they usually feel harder, because now you can't pretend you don't know what's wrong anymore. And for a lot of business owners, this can be quite confronting, as there's now nowhere to hide. And this is where people fall into the trap of trying to fix everything again, and the cycle starts. You start working on the right thing, but results don't show up straight away. So your brain, it starts looking for relief. And then suddenly another problem feels more urgent, another idea feels exciting, or another task feels more important. So you change direction. And not because it's the right move, but because it gives you a break from the pressure. And needless to say, okay, you can probably relate to this, as we've all been guilty of falling into that trap, myself included. You see, your brain doesn't want you to feel discomfort. It tells you that fixing everything feels productive. It's going to make you feel good. You feel busy. You feel responsible all of a sudden. And you instantly feel that you are making progress. But that's not progress. That's avoidance. And all you are doing is just shuffling things around, You just don't have to face the hard truths anymore, because when you try to fix everything, you don't have to fully commit to anything. And as much as I hate to tell you this, commitment is uncomfortable. And that is why successful people are successful for a reason, okay? They've constantly placed themselves in uncomfortable positions which drive their business forward. And that isn't luck, let me tell you. That is focus and direction. And here's something I've learned after decades in business, and that is that clarity creates pressure. When you know exactly what needs fixing, you also know exactly where you're falling short. And that can be quite confronting, because now, mate, the pressure's on. You can't lie to yourself anymore that you don't know what to do. You can't blame anyone else for when things go wrong. It's now up to you to fix it. So instead of sitting in that discomfort, most people distract themselves. They reorganize, they tweak things, they make plans, they start new things, projects, but in reality, nothing actually moves. Another big reason where I see, people get stuck is boredom. And that is important, because real progress in business is often boring. It's repetitive, it's lonely, and it doesn't feel like a breakthrough whilst you're doing it. But in reality, unfortunate as it sounds, is that some business owners mistake boredom for failure. They think that, if this was working, it would feel more exciting than it actually is. So they just stop, and usually just before the momentum kicks in, where they start to see real progress. So now, let me give you something practical here to focus on, okay? If you've identified your core problem, your job now is not to fix everything else, okay? Your job is to protect that focus, and that means saying no to new ideas, new distractions, and any new urgent problems, at least for now. And if you can do that for long enough, you will see the momentum starts to shift, okay? And truth be told, chaos feels easier than focus, and more often than not, chaos gives you excuses, but focus removes them. And what do I mean by that? Well, when things are messy, you can blame the mess. But when things are focused, the truth shows up. And that's why people stay overwhelmed. Not because, they have to, but because it feels safer to. It feels easy to blame again, remember? And it feels so much easier to just keep making excuses, and then the cycle, it just keeps going on. But the business owners who move forward, they're not necessarily smarter or luckier, and they're not necessarily more motivated. They're just more willing to stay within that uncomfortable space for longer than anyone else. They are happy to stay in that phase where, nothing dramatic is happening. The phase where they're tempted to, change direction, or that phase where consistency feels boring. They stay till the end, and then all of a sudden, things click into place. So if you're feeling stuck right now and you feel that, everything's like you're going around in circles, then ask yourself this honestly. Have I actually committed to fixing the right thing? Or have I been jumping around trying to feel productive when I know within my own heart that I could really do better? Because the moment you stop trying to fix everything and you focus long enough to force change, then that's when clarity returns. It's going to come back. That's when your stress levels will drop. Your decisions will feel easier. Your energy will come back, and progress will start to feel possible again. But most importantly, your confidence as a business owner, it's going to go through the roof. And all because you faced your challenges head on without any excuses. And that right there is something to be very proud of. And I want you to truly understand what I'm saying here. Because once you experience that feeling of, say, accomplishment, right? Well, that is something that you can take with you right through your entire business journey, forever. Now, this wraps up my video today. And if you're a business owner who wants clarity, focus, and steady progress in 2026, then look out for my next video in this series, where I'm going to talk about what your business actually needs in place before it can grow. Because fixing the right problem only works if the foundations are there to support it. But for now, I just want you to remember to give the right thing time to work. And be sure to like and subscribe so you're going to be notified when my next video in this series drops. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.